Fala aí, pessoal do Última Ficha, estamos aqui em mais uma entrevista, dessa vez falando direto do CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk, um dos melhores jogos, se não o melhor jogo que a gente viu aqui na feira, e vamos estar falando com Maciek Vieras, não,
Maciek Pietras.
Pietras, yeah, I messed the one letter. So, ele vai estar aqui conversando com a gente e vamos trocar uma ideia sobre o jogo, coisa que a gente já viu e novidades para vocês. First of all, thank you very much to be here with us. It's a pleasure for us. I believe we and all the gamers love CD Projekt Red.
Thank you. That's so much. That's so nice to hear. Man.
And everybody was expecting what would be the game and how it would be, and we saw it a hands off of 50 minutes, 50 amazing minutes, so many options, and I need to make a lot of questions and talk about the game with you.
Okay, of course. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, so let's go. First, let's go a little back in the past, because you guys made The Witcher 3.
Yes.
Kind of like the biggest game ever made that won all the possible awards, the most awarded game in game history. So yeah, it's kind of big game. It's kind of important game.
Okay.
Yeah, it did okay. Yeah. You could sell like a little more than 1 million games. We know that. So how is to deal with that pressure to present Cyberpunk? So how to go out from the best game in history, something like that, and say, okay, now the bar is right here. Right. How was to deal with that and make Cyberpunk?
That's a great question. Like really, we consider every single opinion, whether positive or negative, and we take it. We're super grateful for it. But what we do is we always take that feedback and we analyze it, and we do that because this feedback is actually what makes us work even harder. Because we are all gamers at CD Projekt, and we all want to do the game we want to make, we want to play, and this is what the feedback is, what drives us to work even harder to make the game better.
Mm-hmm. And in Witcher, you made an RPG game for with a medieval team. Now we have an RPG with a cyberpunk team. How was to change from medieval to cyberpunk? And also, we didn't know that before, but now we know. Everyone was expecting a third person, as it was The Witcher, and now we have a first person. So how it was to change from one another, and also the camera as well.
Yeah. So the change from Witcher to Cyberpunk we're really excited about it. Simply because during the Witcher development, we actually started talking between each other, like, what could be our next project, and we actually realized that a lot of us at the company actually played old school Cyberpunk 2020 pen and paper RPG, and one thing led to another, and we decided that we're gonna do it, because not only Cyberpunk 2020 fits thematically to the kind of games we want to make, but it also is a great world that we can build upon to make a video game. And to answer your question about the perspective, well, Cyberpunk is an open world role-playing game from first-person perspective, and just because of that, we decided that the Cyberpunk will be first-person perspective, purely for storytelling and narrative reasons, because we noticed that this world, this Night City, of the world of Night City, truly deserves to be viewed from the first person, because it's a world, brimming with details. Like there are so many small things in this world that you wouldn't be able to notice while playing from third person. And another reason is actually the introduction of the interactive scene system, which is what we are calling that feeling of a seamless blending between gameplay and scenes. So our goal for the game is to actually make it like the player is constantly playing, and we don't want the player to be extracted from the experience of actually playing the game. So just like you and me are talking here, I could look at your camera and point at it and ask you about the lens, and then you can tell me about that while we are still having the same conversation, which is a very natural way of talking. And we want to have parts of that in our game. What, of course, you will still be able to switch to the third person during the driving sequences, because it's really, really cool to drive behind the cockpit. Some players really, they just don't like that, and we want to accommodate that. So we always be having an option to switch to third-person perspective during the driving, and obviously your character, which you will customize and cherish, you will be able to actually see from third person in cutscenes, and the cutscenes will be only in those moments which are like super important from the narrative reason. Like if you saw the demo, we showed V only those moments when it was really important for the story. Yeah.
And you talk about the cockpit, on the car, about the car, and about the world, about all the things that you can see. And yes, that was something that when we were watching the demo, and like, oh my God, I'm inside into cyberpunk world totally. Like the persons, the upgrades, the mega city, the mega blocks,
mega buildings.
Yeah,
we call them mega buildings. Yeah.
That was close. How was to build that amazing world with so many details, and as you said, you can just have a normal conversation and change the subject in the middle of it, and then return to conversation. Something so natural, so alive.
Thank you. I'm really glad you think that way. Actually, creating this world was a huge part of our process, because when you think about The Witcher, Witcher is all about horizontal exploration, right? You can go in any direction for a very long time, and then you will reach your goal. Cyberpunk, it all happens in the Night City, and in Night City you will be able to foremost explore vertically, like mega buildings, which you mentioned, and you could explore parts of it in the demo, are huge building structures which are almost like ecosystems, meaning that you can traverse different layers. So that's why it's kind of difficult to compare the size of those games, because in The Witcher, it was super broad, and and in Cyberpunk, it's all about verticality. And the city itself, it has many districts, and each of them are unique in their environmental settings. So yeah, that's I think all about it.
Great. And just talking about the size of it, I remember that when I first ended The Witcher, I played around 120 hours, something like that. A small game, and I had so much more to play. And then came the DLC and go over easily 200 hours. What are you aiming for Cyberpunk? I don't know, 100, less, more, a lot more?
We are still in development. That means that I cannot give you any concrete number, but all I can say at this point that it's going to be big.
Bigger than Witcher, maybe?
As I said, that's all I have to say.
Okay. We try. We always try. And I remember that the Witcher, the Cyberpunk, it was first announced with a small teaser in 2013, correct? Yes, correct. Yeah. And then 5 years later, we have some gameplay. So how many people are working the project? And before 2013, when did you start the Cyberpunk project? And how much time do you need to make a game like this, and when are you aiming to launch it?
We have so many questions at once. Okay, but let me tell you. Okay,
about
so
time.
I'm gonna. Yeah, of course. I'm tired. But what I'm just let me roll back a bit and let me talk about the development. So, in 2013, as you said, we released a teaser trailer. That was our announcement that yes, we are starting working on The Witcher. But during The Witcher production, there was a moment when we needed to shift some part of the Cyberpunk team to The Witcher project, and on the Witcher game, we did The Witcher, we did The Witcher expansions, both of them, and from that moment on, everyone is back on Cyberpunk development, and now right now it's in full development. When it comes to the release date, as you probably heard, it will be ready when it will be ready.
Well, that's a good answer. Yeah. But you're not aiming publicly at a year like 2019, 20? No.
It will be ready when we'll be ready.
To be ready and to be ready. Okay. And I believe that my last question is about the mechanics of the game. Yeah, I saw the shooting. It flows really well. Have so many special powers. You can hack into the memories of the mind of the enemies, because almost everyone has an upgrade or is linked to a system, and you can control the system, can understand the system, and you guys have no idea how big this is. So what can you explain a little better than I did right now?
Okay, so wow. So when it comes, so I'm gonna start with combat. So when it comes to combat mechanics, we have three types of long-range weapons. We have tech, smart, and power weapons. Tech weapons are the ones where you can actually. Smart weapons are the ones when you actually can track the enemy movements, and your bullets will adjust their trajectories and hit them.
It was like a legendary rifle, right? She shot, and the shots started to chase the enemies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so basically, yeah, exactly. The bullets are chasing the enemy. The tech weapons are the weapons which you can power charge, and then they become so powerful you can shoot people through the cover. And the third kind of weapon is the power weapon, which is my favorite, because it uses such a powerful bullets that they can actually ricochet off the walls, and that means you can actually shoot the. Yeah, and you can shoot the enemies who are hiding behind the covers. Yeah. So, but we also have a melee system, right? So what we showed you in the demo is that when it comes to melee system, we have the Mantis Blade, which is this crazy thing that comes up, the cyberware that pops up from the arm, and you can use it to slash enemies, but also you can use it to hang to the wall, and then jump down on your enemies and. Get them there.
Specific. It's just you hang in the wall, or can you walk like a spider in the wall?
No, actually, what we showcased in the demo is I don't want to go too much into details at this point, but as you saw in the demo, there's wall running, and you can actually there's wall running in the game. So, but going back to about the melee combat system, we also what we didn't show in the demo is the katana. So you're gonna also be able to wield the katana.
And they are all humans, correct?
Sorry?
The persons in the game, they are humans.
Well, that's a bit of a philosophical question, right? Because what actually makes us human? But but what I mean is that when you think about the world of Cyberpunk 2020, is that actually the cyberware is so popular that it's being treated just like tattoos. You know, like. A lot of people have them, and no one is behaving differently or doing something different. But in the world of Cyberpunk, people also have like personal slots in their head, so they can check in. They can actually take a shard with data and they plug it in, and then the player can actually see the briefing in front of his face. And people have personal links, which is basically a way people like
R2.
Yeah.
R2D2, like he goes into it, you start reading everything.
It's a way to access different elements, and as a netrunner, you'll be able to hack access points, and those access points will enable you to attack locally using quick hacks. Like the guy in the Maelstrom, you could actually deactivate his weapon using those quick hacks. Yeah.
Okay, well, I believe that's all. Anything else they want to share about the project? I know it's very big. I have a lot of things to say, but anything else that I maybe forgot to ask you? Or?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, because I ask about so many things.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I can tell you, what surprised you? Tell me what surprised you.
Okay. Well, so many details in that world. That's what most surprised me, because you can, as you said, you can interact. I remember when she had an upgrade, and then she talked to the guy that made the upgrade on her, and they start talking about the boxing, about the boxing scene, and have so many possibilities. You can go guns blazing, or you can chat, you can be aggressive, and wow.
Okay, so basically, Cyberpunk 2077.
It's an RPG. All the options.
It's an RPG. It's true to the bone RPG, meaning that your choices matter, and basically the choices, since there's character creation screen, your choices start right at the beginning. When you select your gender, your skin tone, and also or either your backstory, that's when you make your first choices, and those choices will matter in the game. Some will be long-term choices, some of them will be short-term, but they will also always matter. And what's super important is that during the game you will be doing choices, making choices for different things, for different missions, and all those choices will always have consequences for which you have to pay. And when it comes to like following through to the storyline, certain choices will be so important that will influence the game endings. But how many endings there are, I cannot tell you.
Okay, well, by the experience on Witcher, we may have some endings, and the most crazy and different endings. I remember that I had one, and my friend had a totally different one where he kind of killed Ciri and said, "What? That's even possible?"
I love that.
Yeah, you can't.
love that. I'm sorry, I love that because I actually worked on that scene.
Oh yes.
And I loved when I remember animating those monsters who are crawling on the roof with my friend Arthur, and well, that was fun. That was fun. Even though it was a horrible scene, very dramatic, it was very fun to animate.
And when we're going to see The Witcher 4?
We are here to talk about Cyberpunk.
It's a joke, don't worry. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate, and the game's it's amazing. I really want to have that released, but I know that you guys will work on it until it's perfect.
Until it's ready.
Yeah, until it's ready. So it's PlayStation 4, PC, Xbox
we're
One.
currently developing for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, of course.
Great. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you very
everything,
much. Thank you very
and success on the game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For this interview.
Alô, galera! Muito obrigado por assistir a mais um vídeo do Última Ficha. Não deixem de curtir o vídeo, se inscrever no canal e acompanhar as nossas redes sociais que estão na descrição do vídeo. Acessem nosso site www.ultimaficha.com.br para todas as notícias mais quentes do mundo dos jogos. Até a próxima!